Oh yeah, here's something I want to say. Now was Bradley last week on the time having weird time warp.
When he called into leftovers.
Yeah.
That was
So
last Thursday.
okay, let's talk about this. Bradley Martyn, Dr. Bradley Martyn, called into the show and had a long discussion with me and Hassan about Andrew Tate. Now, I know a lot of people got angry at Bradley, and I totally understand that. It's frustrating, right? To hear somebody, when confronted with something that seems so self-apparent to you, not get it. Especially something as important as trafficking and consent and stuff like that. But here's the thing where I want to urge you guys. If we want to make a change, if we want to affect these people, we cannot turn on them. You have to acknowledge this. Most of those guys would have never even called in, right? Bradley is a genuine enough a guy to even call in and talk about it. And he stayed on the phone as we kind of just slammed him for a long time. And we even got through to him at the end, I think, a little bit.
A little bit. Seemed like it.
So I just think, I think that the amount of hate he's getting is, don't defend him. Shut up. This is important. We're never going to get anywhere. You all want to make him sound like he's the demon. Bradley's not a demon, okay? He's a guy. He's a normal guy, and he's a nice guy. And so if y'all gonna see, all nice guys like fucking, they're all demons. How are we ever gonna affect any change, right? That was the point of the conversation. Is I wanted to talk to Bradley, and I wanted to see if I can get through to him. And so, like, if the response to anyone trying to, to have a genuine conversation with me is that our fans go crazy and call him like all these horrible things and just fucking hate him and blah blah blah, Bradley. He actually texted me afterwards. He's like, "Damn, your fans are vicious." I said, "Yeah, it's a sensitive topic, so I understand people getting upset, but at the same time, I'm not blaming anybody. You don't need to feel bad, but I just do want to express my opinion that if we want to affect change, we have to be a little more tolerant." And I know y'all some are disgusted by like his ignorance or his lack of wanting to understand, but you got to remember, he's a normal guy. He's a dude. He's just a dude, okay? You know what I mean? If he's a write-off, then there's no hope for anybody because he's a nice guy and he's willing to listen. And that says a lot more. Like when we all attack him, in the future, he'll just shut down. He's just not going to have those conversations. And he's just going to be like, well, those people hate me anyway, so what's the point? So this is just my opinion. Obviously, criticism is fine, but I felt that some of it was a little too vicious because I really did appreciate him coming on and having the conversation. And I felt like he regretted it after he got eviscerated by some people in this audience. So, I can't control what all y'all do, but I did want to voice that opinion,
Now, because he reached out to you and told you that our fans were eviscerating him or whatever, but we're not talking about the comment section of like the episode, right? We're talking about like DMs and
I don't know. He didn't say. I was just basing it off.
I figured that he was getting like comments on his personal Instagram and like DMs and that kind of stuff.
I don't know. I wasn't looking, and he didn't give me specifics. He just says your fans are vicious. And I did see some of the discourse afterwards and on the subreddit and the comments. So I knew what he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, just my opinion, and again, I totally understand y'all being upset too at the same time, it's frustrating and it's hard and it's gross, especially if you've been a victim and it feels like you can't get through to anyone. You know what? This whole conversation is so funny because I was watching Dateline. I love true crime, as you guys know. And there was this guy, he R-worded this girl. She did everything right. She did the kit. She went to the hospital. She went straight to the police. And there's video of the police being like, okay, well, are you sure it happened that way? You know, are you sure that, what's he going to say that, you know, you wanted it and you just regretted it? The police brought him in for a polygraph, which he passed. By the way, polygraphs is the biggest pseudoscience bullshit in the world. It's totally fake. Like, the only way polygraphs are actually effective is when the interviewer can leverage it to manipulate you to self-confession. So he passed this polygraph. And then they brought her back in, and he's like, is there something? This guy, like, was fully convinced that that meant he was innocent. So she goes, is there something that you're not telling me? You know, did this guy do something? Like, he starts, like, queuing her up to, like, charge her for a false claim or some shit. And she's like, you know what? I'm just going to drop the case. I don't want to be here anymore. Well, it turns out this guy went on to murder and R-word 2 additional women.
Jesus.
And that cop at the time had the opportunity to stop him, and he didn't fucking believe the victim. And this is the kind of thing, this is an extreme example, but this is the kind of thing that's out there in the world. So I totally understand your guys' reaction, that's all. But, you know, at the same time, I do think it's good he came on the show. So there you go. Peace and love.
Why are they still even allowed to use lie detectors? Like,
it's not it's not permissible in court.
I know it's not, but then they still do it to, like you said, as like almost an intimidation tactic or whatever, and it's kind of insane. That,
well, this cop was a fucking moron. Well,
you said he was a cop, so yeah.
He has no training. Like, they show yeah, thank you, Dan. Yeah, fuck the police. I'm with you. Yeah, but they show on video, he goes, he's talking to the polygraph guy, and he says, I didn't detect any lying. And then the cop goes, okay, so yeah, it's all good. I didn't think this. He's like, he's innocent. I'm gonna let him go. Like, that's it, dude. He took that shit as gospel. It's not a magic machine, bro.
Yeah.
And the more psycho you are, the more likely you are to pass it, by the way.
Right. I've seen things that, like, trying to get like a true or false out of a polygraph, like, you're almost better off just guessing. Like, that's how, like, inaccurate they are.
They can be I do think they're accurate to an extent. They can be. It measures your vital signs, you know. And the theory is that when you lie, your heart rate goes up or your blood pressure goes up or something like that. I don't know, but it's just a pseudoscience, you know. Crazy. Also, if you just squeeze your butthole, you can throw the whole thing off because it raises your blood pressure. I swear to God.
Seems like pretty big flaw.
Literally, all you got to do is clench your ass cheeks, and the whole thing will make no sense.
Hell yeah!
Thank you for the gifted Jade. Going too fast. Going too fast. Eat out my ass. Can you put those donos and gifts in the?
Well, there's Sit for Skit with a 5-member dono.
Thank you.
For the other
Mr.
one.
E says, love you guys. The fan needs to get some perspective. Bradley was coming around. This performative holier than thou crap is why the left loses on issues. Save the hate for those who have gone too far, like Andrew Tate. I agree, but like I said, it's a very sensitive topic, so I understand why people get so angry, you know. And in a sense, this community is kind of like a very safe place for women and abuse victims. So in a way, it's like they should be allowed to vent because this is a safe and good place for them to do that. But
well, that's kind of why I asked about. I guess I just assumed that Bradley was getting hate privately from our fans, which I would say is too far. If he's simply talking about people ragging on him in our comment section, frankly, I don't see an issue with that. I mean, you get hate on YouTube all the time. Like, who doesn't? You know what I mean? And a lot of it, you know, the criticism is deserved. But if people are going out of their way to, like, you're fucking sending him DMs like you're a fucking piece of shit, fuck you or whatever, and he's getting a bunch of that kind of stuff.
I'm sure there was some of that.
That's too far.
But Shay says, can we hear Sam, Olivia, Hila, and Lena's opinion? Shay is demanding that the women speak. She's demanding.
I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know what you want me to say. I
Yeah,
think
what
that
Shay says.
I think it's the conversation took a little bit longer than I thought it would to maybe get through to him, but by the end, he was willing to hear new ideas, and clearly in his world, like, he's being told the complete opposite of what you guys were trying to feed him, so it was all new to him.
It's hard to break through that
Yeah,
prejudice thing.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I agree. I think he means well, and he was sort of coming around. And also, I think that it's important to be able to talk about these things without tearing the other side down.
Lena, the great, hate. I don't know.
Somebody said in all caps, "Don't tell women they need to like Brad."
I didn't say you need to like him. When the fuck did I say that?
Nobody. That is not a thing that's been said.
In fact, I
don't have to.
empathize with you not liking him. Okay.
Perfectly okay.
You must like Brad. You must like Bradley Martyn.
Definitely not a requirement. Not a requirement.
You must like Keemstar. Just fuck your whole life up.
I thought you really were hitting on something at the end of that conversation that was an angle I had never really thought of before, which is the fact that somebody like Tate is so psychotic and manipulative that the way that he's likely been manipulating people like Brad as well, I thought was really interesting because, yeah, if you try and think of it from his perspective, you're Bradley, you haven't looked into any of this, whether he
laughed
or not.
When I said he's a psychopath, he laughed. I says, "What's funny? Look at this. Watch this video."
Right.
Brother.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think from his perspective, having gone out there, like he went out to wherever, Romania or like one of those places to meet him in person at one point. He was part of one of those trips, yeah?
Yes, I think so.
And has had all these interaction with him. And I think you're right. I think, from his perspective, he probably sees when the camera goes off, his personality loosen up quite a bit, probably, act a lot more relaxed and gives the impression that it's all just a character and he's just playing it up and he doesn't really mean it and everything. And if that's his first person experience, having met this guy multiple times, and he just kind of comes off as like, yeah, he says some crazy shit online, but he's really just playing it off. I can kind of see why he's just like, he sees all of this and he's like, well, I've met the guy and he really didn't seem like that at all. So I think this is all bullshit. Yeah, and he's wrong. He is crazy. And like you said, I think he is being manipulated as well as all of these guys because he needs the exposure. He needs these people to advertise for him, essentially.
Bro, how much money did Nelk and Adam Ross make him in the Hustler University
millions
subscriptions? Millions and millions. Yeah, one of the most most defining trait of a psychopath is, charming and manipulative.
Right. Wild.
So anyway, that's not to keep talking about Tate here. Elijah said, "I suggest being conscious of how much you cover Tate. It becomes exhausting as a woman to constantly be exposed to these people and ideologies and endless debates over your worth and existence." I hear that.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to. You know what I mean? I'm just some things. I feel like
shouldn't give the impression that there's a debate because there isn't a debate. Like there's no debate with Tate. He's just fully wrong. Like there's no middle ground there, and it's just a matter of trying to inject some sanity into the people in his orbit. And it already kind of worked. I mean, there was that incident with Bradley. He already started to push back on the Nelk guys a little bit, which is why I think it is a good thing that we engage with somebody like him.
Yeah, I know. Andrew Tate is getting so old. It's been talked about so much, and even myself, but like somehow he's remained relevant because these fucking people are still riding for him. And like, that's just not, it was frustrating to me because I feel like the evidence is right there.
Mm-hmm.
You just gotta take their head and make them do this.
Right.
It's right there.
Yeah.
It's so close.
Just in the peripheral vision.
Yeah. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
And Andrew Tate's influence is still very strong. He's on the young men across the country. So it is exhausting. I hear you.
I hope this whole thing does help to break the grip a little bit, though. I have to imagine that it does a little bit. Like, now that he's in jail and the sex trafficking accusations and it's so public,
They're
like,
still waiting for him to be acquitted, you know. So they're still.
I am sure there are those. I hope that there's some 13-year-old boys who like are having a moment of like, oh, this guy's kind of creepy.
It's
like,
going to happen more and more.
Right.
His stay got extended by another 30 days. I think he's going to go to jail for many years. And when that happens, it's going to become a lot harder for these guys to say anything nice about him.
Fuck yes.
There it is.
Fuck yes.
All right. Andrew Tate, rot in prison. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Your girl.
Thank you.